The focus of our seminar today, as I mentioned, is really to focus on digital marketing post-lockdown. I'm just going to pin myself for my point of view and put myself down in the corner. So the benefit of this topic is that we're in February. Lockdown will end eventually. This is our third lockdown. We learned a lot from the first lockdown, which started in March in 2020, and then gradually started to ease. And during that lockdown, businesses were not prepared at all. We saw a lot of things happen during that period. Everyone pretty much came to a halt. Nobody knew what to do. And they only started recovering slowly towards the end of Q3 and, all the way through Q4 before having a mini lockdown in November and then seeing another large national lockdown, which we're seeing across the world. But something on top of that that's happened at the same time is it's Brexit. We are no longer part of the European Union. We are an independent country. And both of these elements happen at the same time, have a key impact in terms of digital marketing. So we're going to explore the impact that's going to have on digital marketing post-lockdown and some advice and tips for you as businesses to walk away from in terms of what you should be focusing on. So as I mentioned, January 2021, biggest month in the UK, third lockdown was imposed, in 10 months. History became apparent when, Brexit transition ended. So a lot, I say, to handle in a week. But one of the areas that the whole point of this presentation is affected by lockdown is UK's digital marketing industry. But there's going to be a lot of positive and negatives we're going to pull out. It's all about turning those negatives into positives and what that means for your business. We know that lockdown will end. Brexit will become the past in the next 6 weeks as we try to transition and get used to the new ways of working around EU laws, etc. But the digital landscape will change, and it has changed. The big question is, are you ready? And it's quite interesting to see how digital has changed just in that top image on the right, when you see how empty Piccadilly Circus and Piccadilly Square is, one of the biggest advertising screens in Europe. And normally you see, hundreds and hundreds of people there, and it's absolutely quiet. So the first thing I want to say is you need to have a strategy in place. In the current uncertainty and turmoil of the markets across different business sectors that we as Bobble work among, in terms of different client sectors we work with, markets have the capacity of evolving much faster than most digital marketers can handle. An e-consultancy study, and it's important to highlight this, said that only 10% of respondents stated that they had implemented a Brexit marketing strategy. I was quite shocked by this stat. I was thinking, Brexit has been happening since 2016. We all know it's going to happen. There was a whole 12 months for transition, but some of the further study details came out was that the overlooming impact of lockdown deterred businesses from actually implementing a strategy post-Brexit. So don't be one of those 10% of businesses. Don't have a non-strategy in place. Your marketing plan has to be, can't just return to what you were doing post-COVID-19. So anything you were doing towards the end of 2019, early 2020, before we went into lockdown, you need to kind of not essentially scrap that, but completely change it and revisit your strategy. Because if you think, right, once we end in lockdown, we don't care about Brexit. We don't need a strategy. We're just going to continue doing what we're doing before. That should not be your viewpoint. You need to have a clear strategy in place. And why? Because you need to rethink your priorities to suit what is the current state of consumers' minds, the current state of the industry, and how consumers are behaving online. In previous events, when you go onto our Bobble Bitesize page on our website or for YouTube, we talked about ever-changing trends as a result of COVID in terms of consumer habits, from retail, physical, from networking, we can't network physically, to online events, and how that has impacted in terms of the digital sphere really, really booming across different channels. So what you need to do now is really consider, both lockdown and Brexit as part of your digital strategy moving forward. And the reason we say that is because it will end lockdown probably by the end of March, come Easter. Brexit would have given a better idea in terms of how we're working with the EU. So when you come to April and we're coming out and into that recovery phase again, as we did in the first lockdown, both of these elements need to be considered as part of your ongoing digital marketing strategy. How can you do that? Be calm and be agile, I always say. Focus on the short term. What is the priority right now for you and your business? For some businesses, it's simple as we need more sales, we need new customers. For others, it's looking after their existing customers and making sure that they have that retention and don't lose their market share against their competitors. Understand what it is. What does the business look like in the next 3 months? So what you should be looking at right now is, where are you now in February and where do you expect to be when we expect to come out of lockdown? What impact is Brexit going to have on that up until that period? And then as you get close to that point, you need to be looking at another short-term strategy in terms of what does that recovery phase look like post-lockdown in terms of coming into recovery, some form of normality, and to consumers getting back out there. And again, you've got to consider that if this is a third lockdown, there's no guarantee that there can't be a fourth or a fifth. So this is why we say plan for the short term, because in 10 months, we're in our third lockdown overall. So that's why focusing on the short term and the priority for union business is key. Adapt and be agile with how you react to consumer behavior and digital channel performance. What we've noticed is that different channels are performing differently compared to how they were pre-lockdown, especially since Brexit took part. Right now, some of you might know there's a big issue with shipping containers coming over from Asia to the UK, which are directly impacting online retailers that are selling big like household good furnitures, etc. Part of that is due to lockdown and businesses not being able to get their products through customs fast enough to be able to get onto the websites and sell. So all this directly impacts which channels are going to perform better. So you've got to consider the wider environment in terms of what that has an impact on you. Be agile. And by agile, I mean, look at the data where your results are coming from. Platforms like social media, Google Ads accounts, and even your Google Analytics in terms of how many people are going to your site organically through SEO. As long as you're tracking your revenue or you're tracking how many leads or contact forms you're tracking, doesn't matter if you're B2C or B2B, look at that data and adapt and be agile to the platforms that are delivering the best results for you. But it's not just platforms, it's also content. Understanding which messaging and content is working best for you and your business right now, and adapt, because we know that consumers are adapting more towards video content, and we'll discuss that further on the presentation. Don't expect to hit the same heights as before. Benchmarks are out of the window. And what I mean by that is, a lot of clients are saying, well, before we were achieving a cost per acquisition of £40 and now it's £50. The market is a lot more volatile. Consumers' confidence isn't where it was, pre-lockdown and pre-Brexit. Business confidence is low post-Brexit in terms of how much they want to kind of invest into digital marketing. If we look at Christmas just gone, it was the lowest selling Christmas period we've had in a very long time. Businesses weren't advertising as much and consumers weren't buying as much, even though some trends and stats are kind of showing that consumers have more disposable income working from home. But Brexit and lockdown have had impact on jobs and people's ability to work. And we need to take all these considerations into factor. When you see big companies like Arcadia going down, that's another big number of people out of work potentially as well. So just consider, as more businesses are impacted and smaller businesses are impacted, more and more people are going to be out of work. So don't expect to achieve the same, amazing cost per acquisition results as before. Set your standards. However, in some cases, and we are seeing this, better results can be achieved. It really depends on where your business and sector and industries place in terms of whether it's right now benefiting from lockdown or Brexit. For example, if you're on e-commerce around, clothing or furniture, which are doing quite well, compared to, your local hairdressers, for example, who aren't doing as well. Understand your customer demographics and their online behaviors. It's quite important that you use free tools like Google Analytics to understand, right, what age demographic of customers are coming to my website, what's their gender, what location are they coming from, am I seeing too many people come from outside of West Yorkshire and my business is only predominantly servicing West Yorkshire as a region, or are we just seeing other areas that they're not coming from? So if we are in West Yorkshire and that's where our audience is coming from, why isn't Leeds at the top of that list, or why isn't Sheffield or Bradford, Harrogate, Wakefield at the top of that list? What cities and what regions are they coming from, and why? What are the opportunities? And that's where you need to be looking at your website to start adapting it. And we'll talk about this in the local SEO. And don't focus on the hard sell. It is a tough market right there. Providing value, offering a solution, answering questions is sometimes right now the best way to engage and attract customers, as opposed to buy now, sale, buy now, sale. There is a time and a place for that around key seasonal periods. But what we've seen as a trend over the last 10 months is that the softer approach has a better engagement and a better conversion rate overall with different types of businesses and sectors. So make sure you don't just go for the hard sell. Make sure you offer value. Businesses out there could be looking for your solutions. Focus on the pain points that they're experiencing. Consumers out there are looking for good deals or are looking for things to improve their household goods and looking to buy items with any free disposable income. Make sure you're, appealing to elements that impact them in terms of, are you being sustainable? Are you being green? Are you looking after the local small business in the market, or are you one? These kind of things, and being agile, are going to be quite key. Budgets. The IPA, so Institute of Practitioners of Advertisers, Bellwether report shows that after 6 years of growth in terms of budgets, they've been cut in recent years. And we talked about this earlier. The uncertainty that in terms of consumer confidence being low means they spend less. Marketers are losing confidence in the economy. And this is all to do with lockdown and Brexit. And that's why you need to consider these as part of your digital strategy moving forward, and what the post, lockdown and Brexit world looks like in terms of digital marketing. A lot of businesses are spending less, but is it the right strategy? It's hard for me to say this, but it's not. And I understand a lot of businesses, there's people that have attended this bite size right now that are small businesses. Some are freelancers working individually. Not spending right now is like cutting, the legs beneath you in terms of trying to make a dent in the market. It's easy to cut budgets, when businesses are concerned about the future, but it's a mistake. Focusing your marketing spend will help you grow long-term when you come out of recovery. The businesses we saw do extremely well during the first lockdown continued their marketing activity, which is why they're in a stronger position and in a better position come lockdown 3. They're not seeing the dizzying heights of before, but because they're staying active and they choose to remain active, they're not losing existing customers and they're not at risk of doing that. And they're not at risk if the economy goes in a downturn, because they've retained and kept those existing customers and that repertoire with those customers. Whether those customers are B2C or B2B, spending sometimes helps you retain your existing clients, not just helping you find new ones, which helps future-proof you in the long term for recovery and growth, because you can show how well your company has adapted over 3 lockdowns. If you're a company that says you've survived 3 lockdowns, you show, strength, stability to potential customers out there who might invest into your services or buy products from your website. The other thing that's not mentioned in here is, if your competitors are doing the exact same thing and cutting budgets, it's an opportunity for you to grow market share. Focus on local SEO. With lockdown, local businesses really struggled over the last 10 months, everything from local retailers, stores, gyms, hairdressers, etc. But not all businesses can adapt to be online. So a lot of e-commerces were able to adapt and go online. Some e-commerce, retail companies like Primark refuse to go online, and they'll see the result of their decisions in the coming months, in the coming year, in terms of how that's going to impact them. But what a big trend we've noticed in terms of post-lockdown, and part of your strategy when you're looking at it, is focusing on your local SEO. your local search engine optimization. If you have multiple locations, then you need to be focusing on those multiple locations in which you operate. If you're focusing on leads, you need to be focusing on leads. If you go into Google and type in right now, SEO agency leads, Bobble Digital appears in the top 3 organic results because we focused on our local SEO. So we're not just telling you to do this, we actually practice this, and there's a reason for it. People will look for searches local to them. And if you're appearing in a local search against other competitors, it's only going to have a positive impact on your business performance. So, Brexit can lead companies being denied opportunities into international markets. Some can be said about international competitors entering the UK market. By being optimized in local SEO, it'll be crucial to capturing potential customers in your local area and focusing on long-term strategy. So don't just see local SEO as we just need to consolidate a local area. Focus on your local customers. Most of our clients are local to us in Yorkshire, even though we operate at international or national scale. The reason we focus on local SEO is to maintain our exposure to our local customers and local businesses around us that are, still doing well or still looking to invest in their marketing during a downturn in the economy. Offer empathy and value. I have said this before. Before the pandemic, you could all focus around attention, and I mentioned this about being agile and not going for the hard sell. Now is the time to focus on engagement, accommodate, a lot of consumers and business have to accommodate social distancing, the impact lockdown has on their businesses. Use platforms like social media to offer genuine empathy and add real value. Showcase stories. If you go on LinkedIn right now, you've got businesses showing, difficult times they're experiencing. You've got people sharing the fact that they're having to homeschool as well as run a business or work and the difficulties that cause. Everybody else is going through the same elements. If you can use that empathy in your stories in terms of how you're operating as a small local businesses, you will connect with potential customers and other potential businesses that might want your services. That doesn't mean you don't stop engaging or selling your services. The approach we use here at Bobble is we focus on education. It's why we do the bite size and continue to do online. It's why we launched a podcast. It's if you go on any of our social media platforms, you see that we're always sharing trends, commenting on what's happening in the industry or what brands are doing online and what we like. We're offering education and value to people following our social pages. We don't just go on there saying, come to us for a free strategy. They can go onto our website and see that message. But what gets them to our website is how we offer empathy and value and how we communicate through different channels. And the best way to do that, video content. I've said this probably in every bite-size event I've done online. I say it to all my clients, there's no better way to show empathy or provide value than through video content. Here's a stat. 80% of UK consumers are viewing more online video compared to where they were in 2019 and early 2020. Video is taking over. Just consider in 2020, the highest downloaded app of 2020 was TikTok. In 2 instances, in terms of 2 months out of the 12, TikTok wasn't the highest downloaded app, and that was Zoom when we all went into lockdown the first time, and the other was WhatsApp when there was an Android update and everybody had to reinstall the app as a result. So there was only 2, with the exception of 2 months, TikTok was the highest downloaded social app. And what does TikTok offer in terms of content? Video. Why are there nearly 1 billion active users on TikTok right now? Because of video content, because that's what consumers like to consume. YouTube has 2 billion active users and accounts for over 1/3 of all internet users online as a population. And why is that the case? Why are there 2 billion active users on YouTube globally? Because it's video content. If you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, you look at any social platform, anywhere you go, it's video content. Even Netflix are considering a model to offer a free version of their Netflix to offer, video ads pre-roll to specific, series and new films that are released, because they know they could sell it and still make the same level of revenue. And why? Because we like consuming content. We're all spending more time on, streaming sites. We're all spending more time on our mobile phone devices because unfortunately we have nothing else to do. So, post lockdown and Brexit, you need to focus your strategy around video and how you're going to engage with your existing customers, potential new customers around video content. So what next? I like to make a famous saying: "Fortune favors the brave." Now's not the time to kind of like hedge your bets and leave things to chance. It's now that you need to align yourself with what's happening and be ready to spring into action, and having a strategy in place and focusing on the short term around, take into consideration everything that's happening with lockdown, the trends that are happening with consumers' behaviors, how businesses are operating as a result of Brexit. Now's the time to, action an effective digital marketing strategy to enable your business to weather yet another storm. And there may be other storms to come, but the more brave you are, the more results you will see. It's the natural trend and progression we see all the way through. It's time to pave, as I say, a positive path towards the future by focusing on a clear brand message, building up your consumer confidence and tapping into the changing landscape on the needs of your marketplace and client base. Be brave. It is difficult it's easy for us to say, and it might be difficult for you to do, but we're here to support and advise in anything that you need. It's the advice that we are pushing out to everyone. There's a reason why a lot of digital marketing agencies are doing quite well, is because businesses understand that it's digital marketing and that strategy that's going to get them through lockdown and the impacts of Brexit. But make sure you're considering the elements and the changes that Brexit is having on your strategy and your business overall. That kind of brings us to the end of the presentation, and now I'd like to open it up to any questions that anyone has. So feel free to come off mute or drop a message in the chat. But if anyone has a question, then feel free to raise your hands and ask that question.
Yeah, Mani, very good job. I think it's a very comprehensive, and that's often a sign of a job well done. Slightly tangent, just because company brand versus personal brands in your digital marketing. Which one do you think works best for organic reach to grow our businesses?
I would lead towards personal, on the basis that people buy into people. And we've all heard that saying. If you look at, I'll take myself as an example. If you look at my personal LinkedIn profile, it kind of is the starting point of what we do within our wider branded social elements. I try to create a personal connection and be an expert and build my own personal profile. It's why we do the bite sizes. It's why we do the podcast. It's why I, speak at the Yorkshire Powerhouse. It's why, I go and attend other networking events. It's why Leeds Trinity University have asked me to be a panelist on their last business network. It's all about me building my personal brand. But when I'm there, I'm wearing the bubble top. When I'm wherever I am, I'm pushing the business behind it, because Bobble is me. It's an abbreviation of my nickname. That personal brand builds the business brand. But that might not necessarily be the case for all businesses, because, if you look at people like Stephen Bartlett, or you look at, Gymshark, the CEOs, look at Jeff Bezos, who recently stood down. They have kind of become their brand to some kind of way because they built their personal brand, but they started off by building their business brands first, and then they took it into a personal brand. Bobble Digital has been going for nearly 4 years. We focused on the business brand first, and as we started developing our presence, I started building my personal brand and becoming the face of the company. The same way Keith, who had to drop off, is, Mr. Yorkshire. He's the face of Mr. Yorkshire. The same way Stuart is the face of Yorkshire Powerhouse. It works in the exact same way. If you think Yorkshire Powerhouse, you think Stuart Lee. If you think Bobble Digital, you're going to think Manny. It's as simple as that. And it's building your business brand first that allows you to build your professional, and eventually that will take over. But you've got to strategize it in a way that feeds into your business brand. It can't just be about you. That's all great that you're getting the connections and building your profile, but how are you driving people to your social pages? How are you driving people? And if you look at what I do, it's Bobble Bitesize, it's podcasts. What you'll start seeing soon is we've done 3 podcasts, and now we've got snippets of elements that I've recorded through our vodcast, which will be now going on LinkedIn stories. So again, it's me showing my expertise as an expert within digital marketing, but it's around Bobble Pod content that I've shared. So people will go to bobblepod.co.uk, see our brand, see the other people we're working with, and that filters it through. And we track that through Google Analytics. So the whole process from my personal sharing to the website is tracked, because then I can see how many people are coming from the bobblepod.co.uk URL as a referral to our website at bobbledigital.com.
Makes sense. Brilliant. Thank you, Manny.
Nate, go ahead. Just jump in.
Yeah, TikTok. I'm slightly confused about TikTok. I know it's growing, it's massive, it's getting bigger. Month by month, it's getting bigger. I can't quite grasp the digital marketing strategy that can be applied to TikTok because of its history, because of its reputation. I can't take it seriously. Tell me why I should take it seriously.
How does 1 billion people as an audience sound to your business? The reason you need to take it seriously is because no one took Facebook seriously, but Facebook's one of the biggest social media platforms out there. No one took Instagram seriously, but look how big they are. No one took YouTube seriously, but it's the biggest, second largest search engine in the world, the largest video platform in the world. And if we look at video content and mobile devices and social media as a whole, it's all going, and TikTok is an evolution of everything that's come before. Before we had images, we had posting, we had tweets, etc. Now it's short-term video content, and TikTok is great at that, and it's randomized and personalized to you. And the type of content people see is engaging, and they see it again and again and again. Why do people like Mr. Beast do so well across YouTube? Because he does 10, 12-minute videos, and nobody wants to watch a 30, 40-minute video anymore. They only want to watch short videos because they can get through more content in a short space of time. And that's why you need to take TikTok seriously, because it is paving the way for social media in the future. It was so successful that Instagram introduced Reels just to keep up with it. So that's why you need to take it seriously, because your audience is going to migrate. Snapchat is on the down low. Nobody is talking about Snapchat as much as they were, because TikTok evolved out of Snapchat and has taken it to a new level. And yes, it has its own place, Snapchat, but TikTok is attracting more and more and larger audiences to it. Those 1 billion people aren't all young people. It's people at different age groups and demographics. Yes, it's predominantly young, but because of lockdown, more and more people have got involved in it because there's nothing more to do than to create content, and more individuals are creating content themselves. And if your business is part of that content conversation and is there working with specific influencers or out there and communicating and putting yourself in front of the right people at the right time, it's only going to benefit you in the long term. Don't see TikTok as a Facebook or an Instagram or a LinkedIn where you expect to see people go to your site and sign up. See TikTok as a brand building and engagement piece, which is what Facebook was originally. It was all about organic reach, and that's what you can get with TikTok right now. I hope that helped.
Stupid question, just on the back of that. So are you saying that TikTok will work? Rephrase that. Does TikTok work as well for business to business as it does for business to consumer? Because when I think about Instagram, when I think about Facebook, I've always thought traditionally business to consumer, but I've seen that change on Facebook, and a lot of the vendors that I interact with in the B2B space are now promoting their products, their services, and pushing content out through Facebook.
And right now, TikTok is predominantly B2C, but organically, in terms of the content shared by certain businesses, they're jumping on trends. So like if you're a photography studio, you need to be creating, TikTok trends and using video to socialize that, throughout there. If you're creating content and it's all about funny and jumping onto specific trends, you can do that. But the way Facebook was predominantly B2C, we get some great results from a B2B perspective because we gather more data, and Facebook evolved as a platform in terms of what information it took from you in terms of where do you work, what's your job title. And TikTok, as it evolves and it starts gathering more data from you, will allow you to kind of move more towards B2B as well as B2C.
So how does LinkedIn fit into this? Because obviously we've mentioned all the other social platforms, but we've not mentioned LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is the only one that has its own, niche and specific USP. LinkedIn is a professional network, but you can see that the interface that LinkedIn uses, if you've got the mobile app, is really replicating a lot of what Facebook does. Yeah. LinkedIn just introduced stories, so they're trying to make it more of a platform to be able to engage and socialize with, as well as be professional on. LinkedIn will always be known as a professional platform, but the problem LinkedIn has is it's very, very expensive for what it is. If you do ads on LinkedIn, the cost per click can go up to as high as £10 to £12 a click, and some businesses don't want to pay that. You can achieve a cheaper cost per click on, for example, Google Ads for more high prevalent keywords. LinkedIn always has its place because you get more data around businesses and you can be more targeted from a B2B perspective. So out of all those platforms, if you really want to target B2B, LinkedIn is your platform. But, if you really want to target, B2C, then TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram are your main platforms as well. But don't forget, just because professionals spend their days, on LinkedIn during the day, where they're spending their time in the afternoons and on the weekends in their free time. They're watching the same content as everyone else, and those platforms tend to be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So it's trying to have a strategy that accommodates all of it. If you're a B2B, if you're B2C, then LinkedIn isn't going to be your core focus. It will be wider platforms like your Instagrams and your TikToks. One thing I'll add to that is there are some great people out there, and I'll try and share this as a follow-up on my LinkedIn, is there are some great companies out there doing some great TikTok content that is driving measurable results in terms of sales through the site. It's all about how creative you can be with the content. But it's all about creating content that people will absorb and engage with, not to get them to go to your website and buy. It's about being memorable. And we see so many ads a day. It's all about how you're going to stick out, what you're going to do to stick out against, the crowd.
Yeah, just a quick question about that, Manny. So, because I've kind of tried to stay away from TikTok, and I do follow Jason Derulo because he's brilliant on TikTok. He entertains me so much. But with TikTok, is it like on Instagram? You set up an account and you save your content on there, or do you build it in TikTok and then you promote it out on Instagram or Facebook, or do you is it like on Instagram where you have an account and people can go there? I don't quite get it. And how does Reels? Is Reels just the version, or is Reels just a place on Instagram where you upload your TikTok content?
No, so Reels, each platform allows you to create the content within its platform. But what trends have shown that those people creating content within the TikTok app, then sharing it to other platforms, get better engagement than if they create Reels within Instagram. So Reels is an Instagram only application. If you go into Instagram, there's an option for you to go into Reels as well as stories, and you would have your phone up and then you would record your video within Instagram app, and then you would share it just on Instagram. There's nothing stopping you from then saving that video and then going on LinkedIn stories or going onto Facebook stories or going into your TikTok social platform and uploading that. But that's what people are doing right now, the other way around, but with TikTok, because the TikTok logo comes in at the bottom when you're creating your TikTok video. So you go into TikTok, create your social account as you would anywhere else, and you would create your content by recording it there in the platform, and it would be shared in their open marketplace in terms of where the videos go. But there's nothing stopping you from saving and downloading that video, then uploading it to Instagram Reels instead. So you can create one piece of content and share it across multiple, but it is a bit more of a manual process. The benefit of TikTok, and I'm going to come back to this again to the next question, is from a business perspective, is there's so many different influencers out there. It's all about the hashtags people are following. So if you're, let's say, an architecture or an interior designer company, you could then work with TikTok, influencers that, focus and have a following of people that follow their interior design, tips and advice and, TikTok videos. So there is a space for businesses on TikTok, but that's how it works, Sheila.
Thank
Any
you.
other-
That was really eloquently put.
Thanks.